Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Breiler.
There it is. Just a couple of Spartan dogs trying to find a place to live. That's all we're doing out here, man.
Take two.
Yeah, man. I hate that. God, I hate when the internet doesn't work or it's like a technology issue that I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was happening. So thanks to I can't remember who it was. Somebody pointed out that I was real laggy right out of the gate. So appreciate that. Sorry about that. Had to do the intro again because this is just going to go straight up as a podcast. So I wanted to keep that all the same. Now we are here. Chris is ready. He's got the attire. Everybody's feeling great.
I just want to start by saying go blue.
And all the shenanigans, all the ballyhoo. You like those? You like ballyhoo? How do you feel about that?
I love it. Who doesn't? Does anybody not like that word?
There's a game tomorrow. Kind of a big deal. Game day is going to be there. Big noon kickoff. Barstool. Us. Hopefully that Spartan dog guy. What'd you call him?
I don't know. I hope not, man. I'm not trying to I don't want any turf war. Can you imagine if me and Spartan Dog? Oh, Fleminem. Fleminem was the nickname. Can you imagine if me and Spartan Dog got into the same vicinity of one another? It would be like it would be like matter and antimatter coming together, and probably just a black hole would appear.
Well, I want to do what I did before because I thought it was good, and I know it's not original at this point, but I'm doing it anyway.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were gonna drop something hot.
I just feel like that has to be in there. All right.
Okay.
There's a lot to talk about, dude. We put out a bunch of good stuff this week. So we'll talk about some of those articles that we put up. You just put up a couple in the last hour and a half that we will get into. We've got our over-unders. We've got my specific predictions. We've got Big Ten stuff. We've got the national slate. Friday is always a pretty jam-packed show.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it needs to be. It needs to be at this point. So as we get ready to kind of launch into what we're going to do for the show, I just want to talk about the rivalry for a quick second. Just in general, how the fan bases feel about each other. I mean, you can reference your article you just put up a little bit ago from Taylor Lewan. Listen, I know not all Michigan fans love Taylor Lewan because he had some checkered things that he did while he was at U of M, but he loves U of M and he hates Michigan State. And so for at least that 2-minute clip, I think everybody's on the same page with him. But he called East Lansing like a podunk shit town, which is that's strong. That's off the top rope.
We're all thinking it, and he just says it,
But so you've got a friend that kind of works for the program.
I do.
I've got a bunch of friends who are Michigan State fans. Not as many that are Michigan fans, but I do have some. It's obviously a thing where we grew up. I think it was a little bit more split. Where I'm at now, I'm in Ann Arbor, Ypsi, it's all Michigan around here. But where we grew up, kind of in between, you got some country folk out there, some farm boys. There's a lot of people that like Michigan State out that way. What's your overall just view of this rivalry before we get ready to go to the game tomorrow? We're going to sit down in the stadium and we're going to watch this thing play out.
I mean, I go back. I wrote an article a long time ago, and it was before you and I even partnered up, but it was when Mark D'Antonio had announced that he was going to retire. And I remember there was a sense of I hated Mark D'Antonio, but when I heard that announcement, there was a part of me that was sad because I feel like his involvement in this rivalry really just took it to, a level that we hadn't really seen in history. And this thing has gotten violent. It's angry. There's a general dislike there. And I think it carries over into the fan base. And I do think that some people get carried away with it, but generally speaking, I know that people want to talk about Michigan, Ohio State, but given how competitive or uncompetitive that's been over the last 2 decades, I know people still want to make it a rivalry. To me, this Michigan State rivalry is one of the best in all of sports right now.
So there's a couple things that always come to mind about Michigan State, and this is where I have to preface. I didn't go to U of M. I went to Central Michigan. Very proud of that. I'm a proud Chippewa grad. I got my education degree there. I was a teacher and a coach for 7-8 years. I'm totally fine with how my life played out before I got into this field of work.
That's a long-winded way of saying you're a Walmart Wolverine.
I guess so. But I didn't even know about that term really until I got into the industry and started learning about that people have okay, my dad went to Michigan for a year. He didn't finish. He decided to go to trade school, started his own business, was in construction for a long time, made good money, made a good life for my mom, himself, and my whole family. I'm very proud of that with my dad too. My dad was a Michigan fan growing up out in the country. We're talking about New Lothrop, Michigan, out in the sticks in the 60s and 70s. Well, 70s and 80s when my dad came up. Not a lot of people went to college back then. My dad actually went to U of M for a year, realized and thought it wasn't for him, decided to come back, do some grind work, built a nice little life for himself and a business for himself. Then I was born. I was brought home in a Michigan jumpsuit. Am I a Walmart Wolverine because I was brought home to love Michigan from my parents, from my uncles, from my grandparents? I never understood that thought process. I just think it's weird.
Right.
You can like who you like. I go back at people. I'm like, guess what? You never played for the Lions, so why do you like them? You know what I mean? It's like,
did you live in Detroit? Did you live in Detroit?
You didn't work for the Ford family. You didn't work for the Silverdome. Why do you like the Lions? I know that's
out there living in Bloomfield Hills, being like, I'm from the D. You're
that's
not
obviously
from the D.
like a smart ass answer, but from the grand scheme of things, I always find it funny when Michigan State fans they start bumping their gums because when you just listen to this statement right here. Michigan State could win against Michigan for the next 30 years in a row and still be behind in the head-to-head matchup. All right,
sure.
So there's that. And then the first thing that people from Michigan State will say out of their mouth when you tell them something like that is, yeah, but you got all those wins back in 100 years ago. All right, well, you go ahead and pick your arbitrary starting point that makes you feel good about what this rivalry actually is. Go ahead, pick a date. I'm guessing it'll be somewhere in the mid-2000s because that's when Michigan State actually started winning some games in this rivalry. That's how it always goes. I never understood that. Go ahead and pick a spot, I guess. Whatever makes you feel good about your argument, pick that spot. If you go and look at the long list of when they played, there are 2 blips in the whole history of the 120 times they've played against each other where Michigan State had any real traction. It was in the late 50s, early 60s, and then from 2008 to 2015. I'm not really sure why they feel like they belong when they just don't. They don't. I mean, that's just being objective looking at the big picture.
You know what I think it is?
There's a recency bias. They've won more recently, and they did make it to the college football playoff, although I'm not sure they really want to remember that trip. They made it there. It was clear they didn't belong, but it's just kind of a weird thing across the board when it comes to, well, you didn't go to Michigan, you shouldn't even like them. Well, that's dumb as hell if you ask me. I don't know why that matters. And then the whole let me pick a starting point so that way my argument's better and it looks like Michigan State's actually on the same level because they're just not. Dude, I know Michigan hasn't won anything in a billion years. I get it. But it's still the big picture. It's still the whole rivalry. It's still the in-state deal. You don't just get to pick when you want the games to start mattering. You can't do that.
You know what I think the big problem is with Michigan State fans in general is I think they have a really hard time with the fact that it seems like no matter how successful that football team is, nobody cares. Nobody outside of East Lansing cares. Big picture, nobody cares. Even when Michigan State made that playoff run, nobody on a national level really gave a shit. And that's because the darling in the state of Michigan is the University of Michigan football program. That's the program that everybody wants to see doing well. So I think it's a really sensitive topic that even when they're doing well, they're always going to be second fiddle to Michigan. Like you said, they could win the next 30 in a row. They're not Michigan. They're never going to be Michigan. I think they know that. And I think that fuels them by and large, but probably not enough on Saturday.
They get so mad about the little brother thing.
They hate it.
And even getting mad about the little brother thing is like a little brother move. Like that. Like I just feel like every reaction you have to all of that stuff is exactly why we're talking about that. And I don't know. It's always been a funny thing to me. And again, I didn't go to Michigan. First of all, I couldn't have gotten into Michigan if I'm going to be 100% honest with everybody out there. This was another thing I thought of. I think they always say like, "Oh, Michigan, they're so elitist. They're so arrogant. They just think they're so much better than us." Here's the fact: everybody that's at the University of Michigan could have gone to Michigan State. Not everybody at Michigan State could have gone to Michigan. Fact, book it. Sorry, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Okay, I went through the admissions process. I understand how it works. I know a lot of people that applied at both places. I get how it goes. If that makes you upset, sorry, I didn't get in. I'm not saying like I'm smarter than those people, but I'm just saying that's a fact, and I think that's another thing that just bugs them, and there's nothing that they can do about it, and it really and truly bothers.
You know what it boils down to, Brandon? It's that old saying: "It is what it is." They don't like it, but that's the way it is in this state. It's the way it's always going to be, and you're gonna have to learn to live with it.
Yeah,
deal with it.
Anyway, there's a little rundown of the rivalry. I heard some stuff on the radio today. I heard some stuff on social media, and it sticks in my craw a little bit because I want to bring up the whole deal. And that's what I try to do. I try to bring up the whole deal for all the people to consume. All right, let's get into our actual content. Chris, I know you're excited about it. You've got the LA Kings top button, whatever you want to call it, the Latin Kings button up right there. Yeah, the hat is looking good on you. You lost the shades. I feel like you can probably see me a little better now.
Yeah, I was looking at my future earlier, but now I'm locked in to you.
So bright, bright. You get to call me dumb. You get to call me smart. Are you ready for it?
Let's do it.
But the music is going to remind everybody that no matter how intense Chris gets and how emphatically he calls me dumb, you got a friend in me, Chris.
I've been waiting for this all day, Brandon. I love this segment on a Friday. I'm able to get a lot of frustration off my chest.
Say what you want. Eric All will score a touchdown tomorrow.
Dumb? I don't know. I don't know if it's dumb or smart. I'm leaning more towards dumb just because touchdown passes to me seem like a foreign concept. So dumb. It's dumb.
That's fair. So Eric All, he's only got 16 catches on the year, but he did have 5 last week. And I feel like if there's a little, we've talked about this before. I don't think there's not a secret chapter in the playbook, but I feel like there are wrinkles. That's every week. I mean, it's not like they've been saving stuff just for Michigan State. I think it's a natural progression development thing. The teams do some different things every week. You learn a little bit more. You adapt to your personnel. You put a new wrinkle in off of a similar formation that you've used before. Man, I can't even talk. But I think Eric All, I think the tight ends could be. I mean, Jim Harbaugh has praised that tight end group and Eric All specifically many, many times. I feel like if there's a time to maybe highlight him a little bit and catch some people off guard, that could be it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Number 2. This might be foreign to you, too. I guess we'll see. Call me dumb if you want. Kade Mcnamara will throw for more than 200 yards. He's only done
that's smart. I think it's right. He's only done it once all season, but I think it's smart. I think because he's going to have to. Whether or not, 200 yards is enough to get the job done at the end of the day, I don't know. But I think he is going to have to throw the ball a lot. I think they're going to need a lot more than 2 yards out of Kade Mcnamara or 200 yards out of him. But I would say he at least gets to that mark.
Good.
He'll have to.
We got all caps dumbs coming in up 200 yards.
Look at this guy.
Good Lord.
Idiot. What an idiot.
He freaking needs to. He needs to throw for 2 bills.
He needs to. At least. I mean, at least.
Number 3, both teams will be held under their rushing average for the season. Both teams will be held under their rushing average. For Michigan, it's like 254, and for Michigan State, it's right at 200.
I'm going to say yes for Michigan State, no for Michigan. I think that two-headed monster in the backfield, that switching up of things, I think, is going to allow Michigan combined to get over the 200-yard mark. We've seen it with Kenneth Walker. If you bottle him up, you can keep him locked in. You can keep him locked down from getting, those big chunk plays. I think Michigan does it on Saturday. So I say no to MSU, yes to Michigan.
Do you think Michigan State's rush defense is as good as Rutgers, Nebraska, Wisconsin?
Yes. Yes, I do.
All three of those teams held them under that mark. Just, sort of put that out there.
That is true. But those were different weekends. Those were different games. And this isn't Michigan State. So I that's the way I see it going. Are you questioning me in this outfit?
Hey, you're right.
He's the last person that questioned me at Target earlier today.
Number 4, Michigan State will hit 2 50-yard plays. Not necessarily touchdowns, but maybe. I mean, 50. If you're going for 50 plus, there's a good chance you're going to score, but not always. But Michigan State will hit 2 50-yard plays in this game.
Smart. They've built their entire season on the big chunk plays. Whether it's with Naylor, Reed, Walker. I would assume that we're going to see, and then you also have the additional factor that Michigan likes to do the trickeration, or Michigan State likes to do the trickeration. So I think that. Yeah, I would say 250. You said 50 plus yard
50
plays,
plus,
right? I would say that's probably smart money for sure.
They have had 9 plays of more than 50 yards this season, so at least one a game, or averaging one a game, and 38 plays of 20 yards or more. So on the flip side, Michigan has only given up 3 plays of 50 yards or more.
Wait, hold on. That's a good CS in the comments here just said we lose if that happens. Do you think Michigan loses if Michigan State goes over 2 50-yard plus plays?
Not necessarily. I don't think that's a given, a lock type of thing.
Yeah, we've seen their red zone defense clamp down if need be. You obviously don't want to see it. It doesn't bode well for Michigan if that's happening, but you can certainly see us. I mean, we saw it against Northwestern. There were a couple big plays that happened, and what Northwestern got, the shit kicked out of them. So
before we move on to our last question, because I actually asked this same thing of Chris, I thought maybe he was inspired. Did you finally watch Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood? Is that the reason?
I sure didn't. Do you know what I did watch, Brandon? You know what I did watch, Brandon? Come on, give it to him. Give it to him. You know what I watched?
The Notebook? I don't know.
No, you're not going to give me any Spartan Dog. It's the only way I'm like this. It's the only way I'm like this. Where's Dwayne Jones at?
That's all Chris watched.
That's
Notebook? You've seen The Notebook, though, haven't you?
I have seen The Notebook, and it's that shit's emotional. I'm not even going to lie. If you watch The Notebook and you don't feel like a little something in there, I don't know that you have a soul.
You're dead inside. Yeah, that's a good flick.
He wrote her the letters. He was writing her the letters.
The caucasity.
That's offensive.
I love it.
That's offensive.
Oh.
Again, are we hemorrhaging viewers? What are we
No,
doing?
we're picking them up, actually. We're picking them up, actually. All right, last you're dumb, you're smart for me here. Michigan will force at least 2 turnovers. And keep in mind, there's the potential for some weather to be involved tomorrow. So what do you think on that?
Very, very smart. I think anytime you get in a game where it's going to be this physical, people are going to be slapping at the ball. They're going to be hitting each other a lot harder. I for sure think you said 2 takeaways for Michigan.
Yeah, at least 2. Yep.
At least 2 takeaways for sure.
This is spot on. Jonah Hill from the opening scene of 22 Jump Street. Chris Breiler right now.
Whatever it takes to get the job done. That's what I am.
My name's Jeff. That's Channing Tatum's character.
No, you want to know what I am? I'm a Wolverine dog. Wolverine dog. Wow.
Was I dumb or smart for most of those, I guess?
I think most of it was smart.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really dumb is expecting Michigan to throw a touchdown pass. So outside of that, I think you were pretty much on the money, but I do think good old K is going to have to put the ball in the end zone, and it's not, I don't think it's going to be on a deep, loft the ball down. I think he's going to have to thread the needle. He is going to have to put the ball in the end zone on Saturday, and we'll see what it looks like.
Keep that in mind Keep that in mind. Did I? Oh, you know what? I did have something about that for over-unders, but I changed it. But we'll get to those in a minute. We're going to step into the rest of the Big Ten slate. You ready for that?
Let's do it.
So,
Big Ten, big game.
I mean, it's super freaking obvious, but we're not going to cover that one right now because that's going to be what we close the show with. Penn State at Ohio State's a pretty damn big game too.
It's big.
That's what we're going to go with. Obviously, Michigan State, the top 10 matchup, the undefeated teams, game day, big noon kickoff, barstool, all that stuff. That's the biggest game in the country, not just in the Big Ten. We'll finish the show with that. But let's talk about this Penn State at Ohio State game in the Horseshoe or in the Big House, whichever you prefer. Ohio State is favored by 18.5. It's a night game, 7:30 kick in Columbus. I think Ohio State's going to beat that ass down. I think they're going to win by 25 plus.
Yes, sir. I agree. I think it's going to be an ass whooping of epic proportions, although you hate to see it because with those four teams, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, that's the class of the Big Ten East, and they all still have to play each other. And so while it seems like things are starting to sort themselves out, this weekend is really going to tell you a lot about how the Big Ten East is going to play itself out. We've been watching these guys all year kind of, climb to the top and wonder how it's going to shake out. I just think it's good that we're finally going to get some resolution this weekend. But to your point, I agree. I think based on what we've seen Penn State so far and where it looks like Ohio State is headed, I think this thing's just going to get ugly. Maybe if it's in Happy Valley under the lights, it's a different story, but down in Columbus, not good.
18.5. I think they're going to be up by about 20-24 by halftime. I think they're going to kill them. I think they're going to absolutely run them out of the building. I really do. I think it's going to be
but
ugly.
It is one of those games you could see Franklin. I mean, you could see it. Like you could envision Penn State pulling it out in Columbus because they're the type of team that would do that. So don't count them out just yet. I know it looks like it's all Buckeyes, but
I can't see it. I cannot.
He's proven it. He can do it.
I can't even fathom that outcome. I think Ohio State's going to run away with it. And last and least,
Big Ten, big lane.
You ready for this freaking barn burner?
Give it to me.
Rutgers at Illinois. Inject it into my veins. Rutgers at Illinois, baby. Noon.
What time is the kick? Nooner. Okay. Who do we got on the call?
Somebody's uncle.
Somebody's uncle.
I don't care. The quarterbacks may fall asleep on the field. That might happen.
It sounds awful. It's awful.
Rutgers at Illinois. Rutgers minus 1.5. Rutgers the favorite going into Champaign.
Does it even? Why would either team even show up?
Put them.
You have nothing. You have nothing to play for. Glory, maybe. I don't know.
Glory hole. Whoa. Sorry about that, everybody.
Addicted to sex. Sex problem.
You addicted to sex? Sex addiction or something?
That's a horrible game. That is a horrible game. Rutgers is favored by 1.5. I don't know. I mean, can you pick? What would you pick? I mean, all right, Chris, you got to.
Who cares? That's the pick. Who cares? I'll pick. You know what? How about this? I'll pick Illinois riding high after the road win at Penn State. They come back home to Champaign. Brett Bielema's pounding beers and eating chicken wings. He's all greased up all over his face. Illinois by probably 30.
Holy shit.
I'm telling you, the Illini are coming.
I think I would take Rutgers to cover, but God, that game blows. That's just
awful game.
It doesn't get worse than that, and that's why it's the lamest game in the Big Ten this week. There you have it. Pretty short segment. I mean, I don't think you need to spend a ton of time on something like that. I mean, we're not going to talk all day about Rutgers at Illinois. I mean, I'm interested in the Penn State-Ohio State game, but I do think Ohio State's going to win by a lot. Penn State's not what I thought they would be, and they're kind of dinged up right now. I still don't know what the deal is with Clifford. Probably not at 100%.
Let me ask you, how much of this weekend's outcome in East Lansing between Michigan and Michigan State impacts your confidence for Michigan on the road in Happy Valley? Does this game impact that at all, or have you already made up your mind that Michigan is going into Happy Valley as the heavy favorite, regardless of how Saturday plays out?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if Michigan struggles on the road tomorrow and looks bad and gets beat by, 10 or more points, I'd really second guess their ability to win in Happy Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, Penn State's not as good as I thought they would be, and that game doesn't look as daunting as it did before the season started. But I mean, it's still a road game against a team with a pulse and talent, and I mean, so yeah, I think tomorrow's game is going to play some role in how I think that game might go. But I don't know, not a ton. I'll tell you what, I'll have to watch tomorrow's game, and if Michigan looks like just cheeks out there, I'm gonna feel really
that's going to make the rest of this schedule kind of, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like we've been every weekend we walk away from the stadium and we have the same thought process. We're like just waiting to like figure something out. And like if Michigan, I'm just looking for some relief this weekend. I want to see them win so I can get a good night's rest, knowing that this Michigan team is legit. And if they lose, I'm going to continue to be an emotional wreck for God knows how long.
Emotional wreck. You heard it here first. Chris is in trouble over there.
I'm in trouble.
But yeah, man, I can't wait for this game tomorrow. I just keep coming back to that.
So jacked.
We'll get to that. I was just going to launch into something about the article we put up where we made our predictions, but that's for the end. I'm going to wait. All right, you ready for over-unders? Maybe my favorite segment. Do you have a favorite segment that we do?
Burning questions by far.
Burning questions, yeah. I like questions. Go ahead, Chris. I mean, when you come to the pod with an outfit like that, you have earned the pole position.
All right, let's get it started off. Brandon, I've got I vogued. Did I just lose all street credit I gained by voguing? It doesn't matter.
Dude, you're talking about watching The Notebook and not seeing Don't Be a Menace, and I don't know how much street cred you have, to be honest.
I have no comeback for that. I don't. I've got nothing. All right, here we go. Brandon, I've got MSU at the half sitting at 10.5 points over and under. And before you say, give your answer, I just want you to know, if MSU were to go over 10 points, it would be the first time all year that Michigan's given up over 10 points and a half. Currently, Michigan is averaging 4.2 points given up in the first half of each game this year. So do the Spartans go over 10 points in the first half? 10.5.
I think they will. I think this is actually going to be more of a – I think the way that these two teams are built and put together and how I could see the game actually playing out is that Michigan State gets off to a little bit of a hot start, and then they bog down, and then Michigan wears on them and wears on them and wears on them. And at the end of the day, Michigan's got more points on the scoreboard. I think that's kind of how it might go. I think, and it's going to determine – it's going to depend on how Michigan can bounce back, because I do think Michigan State might score quickly and early and maybe get at about 10, maybe 14, 13 points, something like that in the first half, and then see how Michigan can handle it, how they can regroup, how they can adjust, through the second quarter into halftime and come out in the second half and really wear them down. I'm telling you, we talked about this on Wednesday. I have played this game out in my head so many times, and I see so many realistic scenarios like the one I just said. I see Michigan State getting up early and Michigan not being able to quite to bounce back. I see Michigan punching Michigan State in the mouth on their home field and just kind of pulling away all day long. Dude, I don't know, but I will say over for the first half at 10.5 points.
See, I view the game going the opposite way of what you just said. I think Michigan State's going to struggle early, and I think they're gonna kind of rally late. I think the crowd's going to get into it. I think that Michigan fans are going to go into the half feeling pretty comfortable. Things are going to get tight late, and then we're going to see where everything falls. But I think the Michigan defense, while these two teams are feeling each other out, I think that they're able to hold the Spartans under 10 points. They haven't done it yet so far this year, and I don't think they give it up in East Lansing either.
I mean, also very realistic. That's what for my heart, that's what's going to happen for my anxiety. Michigan, it will look comfortable early, and then the Spartans are going to come roaring back. Spartan Stadium's going to be crazy. We're going to have a hell of a game going into the fourth quarter, and it's going to be the show that everybody hoped it would be. That's what I'm hoping for. I just really feel like every outcome we've talked about is like, yeah, I could totally see that, and that's what makes this game so fun. I mean, I just can't wait to watch it. All right, either team, the longest touchdown in this game, over or under 61.5 yards. both teams actually have big playability. They get them differently. Michigan State's more through the air, Michigan more on the ground. But over under the longest touchdown, 61.5 yards.
I'm going to take the over because I think with both of these teams on the field combined, when you got guys like I said, Corum, Haskins, Reed, Naylor, you have a lot of athletes on the field. I think the probability is high that one of them is going to break off a long scoring run.
I kind of feel that way too. I feel like there's going to be a couple big plays in this one. Like I honestly wouldn't be surprised if there were 2 touchdowns of 60 or more yards. Like,
yeah,
maybe both for Michigan, maybe one each, maybe both for Michigan State. Again, all of those things seem realistic and possible in tomorrow's game. It's bananas how many things I feel like we might be able to watch tomorrow. That's why I'm so anxious to get there and watch it.
All right, man. So this question for you, we actually talked about this earlier in the podcast. You brought it up a little bit, but I want to know Michigan combined rushing yards on Saturday. I've got them set at 200.5. You got them going over that 200-yard mark or under on Saturday combined. So, you got Haskins, Corum. You could throw Edwards in there. I mean, and jet sweeps, all of that's in there. Well, shit. No, not jet sweeps. By the running back group.
That's rushing yards.
But you got, from the running back group.
Okay.
200 yards from the 3.
I still think over, but just by a little bit. I think they're going to be a little bit under that average of 254 or whatever, 253. Yeah, quarterback runs too. I mean, if JJ comes in, that's an interesting point. But I'll say under. If it's just the running backs, I will say over your 200 mark, but just barely. Still under the 253 or 254 that they're averaging on the season.
Same. I see, one Corum or Haskins, one getting like 120, 125, the other one somewhere maybe in the 80 range. Kind of what we've seen shake out here the last few games for them. I think both of them are obviously going to carry the ball quite a bit on Saturday. So I would say 200. They better get 200 yards for as much as they're going to run the ball, right? They're going to need it. So, yeah.
That's what we think.
Hammer the over.
That's what we think. And speaking of that, if they're not running the ball a whole bunch, then that means they're hopefully going to be throwing it. Yeah, the rain might play a role. We'll see how that goes. The pace of the game, obviously, whatever's working for Michigan. Kade Mcnamara, passing attempts over under 28.5. 28 is his high water mark for the season.
That's a good number. That's a good number. I will say attempts, right?
Attempts. Yep.
I'm gonna say over because I feel like it has to be over. I think he's gonna have to throw the ball a lot. I don't think it's gonna be a scenario where he's dropping back and throwing 15 times and walking out with 330 yards. I think he's gonna have to make a lot. I think he's gonna have to get a lot of completions. So I'll take the over.
I'm gonna take the under by a little bit. I
don't know how I feel about if it's under. I don't know how I feel about Michigan's chances
for a couple reasons. One, the weather could be a factor. 2, I know they're going to want to run the ball and they're going to try to run it for a while. I don't mean maybe for the whole game, even if it's not working. Unfortunately, we have seen them do that. When the running game's not working, they still keep doing it. They did that in a close game at home against Rutgers, and it was super frustrating to watch. And I also don't know if Michigan's going to have as many possessions and sustained drives as we've seen against the Michigan State team. I mean, Michigan State's defense shows up. It's a home game for them, obviously a big game. I think there's a lot of things that could change, how many times Kade Mcnamara has the ball even. So I'll go under, but I think it's going to be close. I mean, I think he throws it, 24, 25 times, but I will say under. I don't think he's going to reach his season high of pass attempts tomorrow.
All right, Mr. Brown. Kenneth Walker seems like he's a pretty good running back. I didn't know anything about Kenneth Walker until this year. Am I alone in that? Like, I didn't even know Kenneth Walker was a human being until this year, but it turns out he's pretty damn good. I've got the over-under for him Saturday rushing yards set at 135. 135 over-under against that Michigan defense.
It's funny that you mentioned that. He played at Wake Forest, right? I mean, why the hell would either of us ever watch the Wake Forest game before? 2 seasons ago, I was in a college fantasy football league, and I had Jamie Newman as my starting quarterback. So I actually tuned in and watched maybe 3 or 4 Wake Forest games that year and got to see Walker play a good bit. And I remember thinking to myself, that dude's pretty freaking good. I think he would have been young at that point, maybe a true sophomore or something like that.
Yeah.
So I did know a little bit about him. I didn't really know what to expect when he got to Michigan State because I thought Michigan State wasn't very good. I didn't think they were going to be very good. I thought, he's just coming to the Big Ten, a little bigger stage. He's not going to be that good for them, and he's been phenomenal. So I say all that to say under. I think Michigan's defense is pretty good. I don't see him popping off for 130, 140 yards. I think he's going to be.
I mean, you get 170-yarder in there, and all of a sudden,
I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay,
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. I think it's going to be. I think he's going to be right around that 100-yard mark. I think that's. I think they're going to be. They're going to try to stay balanced. They're going to try to give him the ball, but I don't think he's going to go crazy against Michigan. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I agree. I've also got him at the under for the same reasons. I go back to that Indiana game. You saw what Indiana did. They bottled up Walker. I don't think Michigan has any interest in letting Kenneth Walker go off and kind of run crazy all over the field. So I would assume he's probably right at that 100-yard mark, maybe, plus or minus a couple yards. But I just think they're going to do a pretty good job of containing him. That's the one area where I do feel confident is Michigan's ability to shut down the running game.
All right, I'm going to build on the quarterback picture and see what we come up with here. The X factor that I've heard some people call him. I'm going to get into that right now after we answer this question. It might take us a long time, but I don't care. J.J. McCarthy over-under pass attempts, 6.5. Six is his high water mark for the season.
Under. I'm hammering the under on that. I don't think he's going to throw the ball once.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think he's going to throw the ball once, unless it's something like it's a shovel pass or something like that. I don't think they're going to let him throw the ball.
He's going to throw the ball, 100%. They've been teasing it a little bit, and he threw it 5 times last week.
You're right. Against Northwestern, I'm going to say under the 6.5, but he will throw the ball tomorrow. He will throw the ball tomorrow. I don't know how many times, but I think it'll be under 6.5. So, go ahead. I want to keep it right here for just a quick second, and we can talk about this as long as we want. Maybe if you think you're really getting fired up with your, a 93 overall, J.J. McCarthy. if you get real fired up about it, maybe we can come back to it after we're done with the over-unders. But I've heard J.J. described as an X factor. I've heard people say, if the offense is really, really struggling, you're going to bring J.J. in to really get it going. Then why the hell isn't he playing? That's what doesn't make sense. Answer to the problem. If the offense isn't working and he's your break glass in case of emergency, then he should be the freaking guy all game long. Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. The counter argument is that there hasn't been an emergency. There's been no need to break the glass. But then you're essentially saying we're going to wait until there's an emergency before we break the glass. And I don't think that that's a wise move. And that's what we talked about the first 7 weeks. They didn't really break the glass with JJ. They kind of kept him on ice. He got to play a little bit, but go back to that Northwestern game. There were plenty of opportunities for him to get meaningful snaps. And I just don't see that happening in East Lansing. I don't see them throwing him into the fire. And this is a top 10 matchup on the road. Kade hasn't even played in this type of environment yet. And for the record, I'm not even saying that that's what should happen. I'm just saying if there are I've heard it on the radio, I've seen different articles, I've seen it all over social media. If you can legitimately ask the question or label JJ as the X factor, and you can legitimately ask the question will he play if Michigan really needs another level? Then what are we doing? What is happening? What is going on? If you think he's if Kade Mcnamara is in the game and Michigan finds themselves down 10, 14, 17 points, and you say, all right, let's put him in now. I will blow a gasket. That's what happens in the movies. That's not what's supposed to happen when you're managing a football team. All right. Anyways. Maybe we can come back to that towards the end, but I've seen that in so many different places, and I'm just why would that be the thought process? I don't understand. All right, well, let's stick right there with the quarterback discussion. I've got Kade Mcnamara set at 2.5 touchdown passes on Saturday. 2.5 from McNamara. Under. Under the Brit. Under. I just don't think he's. No, it's like you talked about earlier. It seems like a foreign concept. I cannot imagine him throwing 3 touchdown passes. Yeah. No. Yeah. I can't even envision how that would happen. Same. Well, and I'm in the same boat with you. I take the under, but I do think I think Michigan's going to need the over to come out of East Lansing with a win. I think he's going to have to throw 3 touchdown passes Saturday to get the W.
So let me ask you. So right there, what you just said, if Kade McNamara has 2, 1, or 0 touchdown passes, they lose.
Yes. Throwing?
Ooh.
Are you saying through the air, right?
Yeah, throwing.
Yes.
If he has 2, 1, or 0 touchdown passes, they lose.
I believe so.
Wow. Okay. So do you?
Where I'm at, man.
What do you think is going to happen then? If that's what it will take. You picked Michigan to win, so you must have them at 3 or more.
Well, now you see the internal conflict that I have.
It's the same one.
No, I have him at under. I've got him under because for those reasons. I've never seen it before. So what I'm trying to tell you, Brandon, is that Michigan will both win and not win on Saturday based on my prediction, based on my analysis. Is it confusing to you out there? I don't get it.
This is like heads you win, tails I lose. Like right, like that. Heads I win,
Wait,
tails.
what's the other one? Like if so, yes, if not, why? Right? This is the moment. This is the if so, yes, if not, why.
If so, yes. If not, why?
Tell me.
Answer that, folks.
Answer it.
I don't know, man. Chris needs a Snickers.
I'm good. Actually, I had a lot of Snickers last night, so I'm good on the Snickers.
Chris needs a Snickers, a king size. Get him a
That's the
king.
last-
Oh, look at
the last thing I
somebody throws
need.
out the TFG.
Look, okay,
Good
listen.
guy.
Hold on a second. Let's bring this back in for a second because I know it seems like I'm crazy, but I'm not. We'll get to what the prediction is, right? I've got Michigan winning the game. Right? I see a scenario where they win the game, but I also think Kade McNamara is going to have to throw at least 3 touchdown passes to do it, and I don't have the confidence he can do it. So therein lies the conflict. What do I do with that?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think you got that top button too tight, dude. That's what I think. Cutting off the oxygen to your brain.
Nah, man, I'm good.
All right. Over under. Michigan State 4.5 sacks in the game. That will be by far the most sacks Michigan has taken this year.
If that happens, that's going to be bad news for Michigan. I'm going to say under. I do think they're going to get to him a couple of times, but you said 4.5.
4.5. That's under their season average, by the way.
No, under.
By a lot? I mean, it was pretty quick.
I think they're going to get to him a couple times. I think they'll get to him twice. But I mean,
So
they've kept McNamara clean. You know, he's not that great at escaping the pocket, but he's shown that he can get out of the pocket. He can move around, get rid of the ball. He's a smart quarterback. You know, from a skill set perspective, I'd like to see more. I'm more inclined to go with a guy like JJ, but just in terms of like football IQ, I think he's got it together. He can get rid of the ball. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth a little bit on what this number might look like. Obviously, Cade's only been sacked once or twice all season. He is smart. I mean, you know, he's not patting the ball, waiting for, 4-second routes to develop. He's often getting rid of the ball rather quickly. He is smart. He knows not to take hits. But Michigan State gets a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. I mean, they get to the quarterback a lot more than Michigan does. I didn't realize that, how much more often they get to the quarterback than Michigan. It's substantial.
Yeah.
If you throw in the fact that maybe Trevor Keegan and maybe Zach Zinner aren't playing or aren't 100%, I don't know. I think I would still take the under, but I think it's close. I think it's close. I think they might get to Kade 3 or 4 times tomorrow. I do. I think it's going to be the biggest handful that the O-line has had to deal with so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question it's going to be their biggest challenge. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if Cade's taken that many hits, it's not going to be a good thing for Michigan. So for that reason alone, I'm leaning under.
Yeah, I would go under, but I don't think it's by, as people in the comments are way under, hammer the under, and I think it will be under, but I don't think it'll be by that much. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, what do we got next here on the list? I've got, for the last one, total points on Saturday between both teams at 38.5. 38.5.
I'll say over because I picked over. We'll get into our specific point total and our prediction here in a couple minutes when we get to the end of the pod. But yeah, I'll say over. That's not that many points in today's college football. I mean, even for a team like Michigan that wants to possess it and, eat up clock and run the ball, they're still pretty efficient. They still get down and get points on most of their drives. Michigan State obviously has had a few more big plays through the passing game. So I'll say over. I mean, it's not going to be – I don't see this being 42-45 or anything, but I think they'll go over 38.5 combined.
Yeah, I mean, just based on what I've got the final score going, I'm going to go under, but it's slightly. I think they're going to be right at 38 points.
And my last one, again, depending on the pace of the game, depending on if Kade Mcnamara can move the ball through the air, depending on the weather, depending on how effective that running game is, our boy, and I am so pissed because I had a song and a drop downloaded for every mention we make of him.
The
Sledgehammer, Jake Moody, over or under 2.5 field goals?
Over. I think they are going to lean heavily on Money Moody on Saturday. I think they're going to need every single point he's able to put in through the uprights. I will hammer the over confidently.
I'm going to say under. I think it's going to be right at about 2. I think he's going to knock into. I think he's going to try 3. I think he's going to miss 1. I think he's going to make 2. That's what I see happening. I don't know why. He doesn't miss very often, but I see a miss tomorrow, and I see a couple of makes. I will hit the under just barely on the under there.
Great segment. It's really good stuff. Again,
I mean, a little partial, but
I might be a little biased.
Does this podcast kick ass? It does.
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
No, I like that segment. I mean, those are some pretty good. I think the number that you said 38.5 for combined points.
Yeah.
I think the number in Vegas is 40.5. So you were pretty close on that. I mean, that's kind of where they see it too. And we'll get into our actual scores here in a minute. Last but not least, we're going to talk about 2 national matchups that have a little bit of intrigue. And then we will talk Michigan State, the spread, our picks, our final score predictions. And then we will get out of here. And I'm going straight to bed. I'm going to bed. And no, probably
like not. A kid on Christmas Eve.
We're getting up early tomorrow. I mean, you and I are meeting up early. We're getting to East Lansing early. We're going to get there. We're going to get settled in. We're going to be ready to rock and roll. So,
do I look like a guy that gets up early in the morning to you?
No, you look like the Big Lebowski's cousin.
I would love to be.
All right, here we go. Place your bets, folks.
Do it.
Get the money on the table. Get the money on the table, Chris. I want fat stacks, dude. I want you to put down as much money as you possibly can on this first bet. You ready?
Let's do it.
So there's actually only 3. I believe there's only 3 ranked matchups. One being Michigan State, the other being Penn State, Ohio State, and then one being Ole Miss at Auburn. Number 10, Ole Miss at number 18, Auburn. 7 o'clock kickoff down in Alabama. Auburn is the 2.5-point favorite, despite Ole Miss being a top 10 team. Ole Miss at Auburn. Auburn favored by 2.5. Where are you putting the stack?
I always go to Ole Miss, man. I like Lane Kiffin. I just
an Ole Miss fan.
You know what? I'm not even trying to be in the closet about it. I think I might be an Ole Miss fan. Like I like Ole Miss. I like kind of the style of football they play. They're not very good, but I always kind of find them interesting. And they've got a Heisman candidate at the quarterback position. So yeah, I'll put all the money on Ole Miss. Give me the boys down south.
I think I'm taking Ole Miss too. I mean, Auburn is the home team. Bo Nix has done some pretty nice things for Auburn this year, but like, dude, Ole Miss can score like 60 points easy. Like they just run it up and down. Now they might not be able to do that on the road against Auburn. Auburn has recruited well. They've got good athletes.
They did it at Tennessee though. I mean, they were balling out in Knoxville.
I'll take Ole Miss. I'll take Ole Miss I'll take Ole Miss to win that game outright. Go into Auburn and get a win. Not only cover, but win it outright. Give me Ole Miss on the money line. And then the other one, before we get to Michigan State, Georgia. Number 1, Georgia is favored by 14.5 over Florida, who is no longer ranked. I didn't realize Florida had fallen all the way out of the top 25, but they are still a pretty good team.
Where's it at?
It's actually, I was going to look at that. It's a neutral site game. It's a versus game. It's not in the swamp. It's not it's not between the hedges. Let me look up where that game is. But Georgia is favored by 14.5 in that game. Florida's doing kind of a weird thing with their two quarterbacks too. A lot of people down there think that Anthony Richardson should be playing all the time, but they still bring in Emory Jones, and they're trying to figure out who can do what. So I don't know. That's a big spread against a good team, but Georgia has been rolling. They've given up like 3 touchdowns all season or something.
Yeah. The thing about Georgia, if you watch them play football, is they look really, really, really scary. Like that defense, that's a legit defense. They've got, I forget what the 90, is it 99 on the defensive line?
They got
his name.
Yeah.
He looks like he's a Pro Bowler already. I just, this isn't Florida's year. Georgia's rolling. Georgia's legit. Even if it's a neutral site game, give me Georgia. I just think they are the class of college football right now, and everybody's just trying to keep up.
So thanks to the people throwing in the location there. It is in Jacksonville. It's at the Jaguars Stadium. So it's in Florida. I mean, we'll see what that looks like. But man, my first instinct was to go with Florida.
Same.
To lose. But not by that. But not by 15 or more. Man, but I could honestly see like looking up at the middle of the day tomorrow.
41-7.
Yeah, like kill. I'll put $1.50 on the Gators. How do you feel about that?
How I feel about that is there ain't no more play in GA. That's how I feel about that. You want to take my street credit? You probably don't even know where that song came from. Does anybody know Pastor Troy out there?
I know a little bit of Pastor Troy. I did not know that song specifically. So there you go.
Getting back to my roots.
So you said Florida too? You would put your money on Florida to lose?
No. I'm taking Georgia. Yeah, okay. I'm taking Georgia.
All right, I would put it on the Gators to maybe lose by like 13 instead of 15 or more. So we'll see. I don't know. That one could go either way. I think. I mean, no way Georgia loses, but it's just I find myself going back and forth a little bit on how it might look. All right, I am going to fade out the place your bets music so we can really get into this Michigan State thing, the number, what we said, why we said it, what we think. We're going to close out the last 10 or 15 here with this game. Michigan going into East Lansing. The game is at noon. There's supposed to be some rain a little bit, maybe through the first half. I think I saw somebody earlier say that the rain might be cleared up by about 1 o'clock. So that would be probably, somewhere in the second quarter, whatever. There might be some weather. We'll see what that looks like. Michigan is favored by 4. I believe the line started off at 3.5, and then I think it jumped up to 4.5, and I think it's kind of leveled off at 4 points right now. So Michigan is favored by 4 at Michigan State in East Lansing, noon. Go.
I'm taking Michigan.
Okay.
At the 4 points. I mean, that's going to reflect what I have for the final score, so I take Michigan.
I actually have them
reluctantly.
This might be disingenuous, dude, and I have honestly built my career on not being this guy. When I think about everything that goes on in this matchup, who's got the better quarterback? I think it's Michigan State. Who's got the more explosive offense in today's world of offensive football? I think that's Michigan State. The game is at home. It's at home for Michigan State. I think the D-lines I think Michigan's D-line is better, but I don't think it's by a huge margin. So I think that's close to a wash. I think the running game production, I would take Corum and Haskins as a duo versus just Walker, but I actually think that production tomorrow is going to be similar. I mean, Michigan might have a slight edge, but I don't think it's by a huge margin. I think both secondaries are pretty suspect. I think when I really look at the big picture and all things are close to equal, except for I do give the edge to Peyton Thorne over Kade McNamara, and the game is at home for Michigan State. I wrote it down. I typed it out. Michigan State, 24-20. And then I said, fuck that, dude. I can't do it, dude. I can't. Jim Harbaugh and Michigan cannot lose this game in East Lansing tomorrow. So since it can't happen, I'll say that it won't happen. And that's what it honestly came down to for me. That's what I never do that. If I think Michigan's going to lose, I'll just say it. I don't want to say it.
Let's talk about the conversation we had leaving the stadium against Northwestern. And you were asking me, like, who am I going to pick? And everything in my soul, in like my gut, was telling me that Michigan State was going to win that game. But I told you I was going to pick Michigan, and your response to me was like, that's goes against everything we stand for. And I get that. In deep in my soul, I'll just say it, I believe Michigan's going to lose tomorrow. That's what the based in reality, pragmatic, like just kind of looking at history, the 0-8 on the road against top 15 teams, everything's telling me that Michigan is going to lose tomorrow. But the difference is, Brandon, what you said, Michigan can't lose tomorrow. There's only one team going into that game tomorrow that can't lose tomorrow, and it's Michigan. It's Jim Harbaugh. They have got to get it done, and goddamn it, this is the time where you get it done. How many times has Jim Harbaugh walked into a gotta get it done situation? This is it. You got to do it.
Jim Harbaugh cannot fall to 3-4 in 7 years against Michigan State and 0-2 against Mel Tucker. It cannot happen. And if those two numbers alone aren't enough for him to put his blood, sweat, tears, balls, toenails, hair, just everything into this and just drape it all over his team and just, dude, I mean, I've never been in a locker room for pregame with Jim Harbaugh. I don't know if it's really in his DNA or how he goes about it. He needs to peel the paint off the freaking walls tomorrow. Yeah, he needs to peel the paint off the walls tomorrow before they go out onto that field and talk about beating some ass and go out there and just have a murderer's mentality.
And before anybody gets on me for saying that, again, I want Michigan to win, but when you look at an 0-8 record, and we talked about this on the last show, if there was anything I could point to that would give me confidence that Michigan would go in there and get the win, I would feel that, but it just hasn't happened before. So I can't base my pick in reality. I have to base it on emotion, on belief, which is what I think a lot of people are doing. And the fact that you think that Michigan will just finally get it done this time. This isn't a typical Michigan State matchup. This is two top 10 teams going at it on a national stage, and Michigan's going on the road, and everybody's going to be looking at this team to see if they're for real or if they're kind of what, the flip side, what everybody thought about this team was, as soon as they get in front of a legitimate opponent, they're going to crumble. And that's what we're going to find out on Saturday. There's no more moving the goalpost. East Lansing is the goalpost now.
Yeah, no. And Chris, you keep bringing up that point. Somebody's going to get a monkey off their back tomorrow, because Michigan State is 0-7 in their last games against top 10 teams.
Yeah.
So they're 0-7 against the last top 10 teams they've played. Michigan's 0-8 against their last top 15 opponents on the road. So, dude, somebody's going to put a W in the column that they haven't put one in before tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, this goes back to what I said on Monday's pod, on Wednesday's pod. I submitted my write-up for the Michigan State site on the whole, know the opponent or, whatever. And I picked Michigan State to win. And then by the time I submitted ours and published ours this morning, I switched it. Because I couldn't do it. I kept looking at it. I kept thinking about it. I said all the things in my head tell me to pick Michigan State, the quarterback advantage, the home field advantage, the big play ability in the passing game against the secondary that I think is a weakness for Michigan, for both teams. But if both teams have a weak secondary, then you look at the passing game for the other team, and Michigan's got a considerable advantage there, in my opinion. Yeah. So I'm like, it's Michigan State. I hate it, but it's Michigan State. And then when I got ready to publish it this morning, I'm like, dude, I can't freaking do it. I can't do it.
Michigan, and that's the problem.
Lose this game. They cannot.
Right. But everything, when you look at it on paper and when you just watch the two teams play, I think you're more inclined to believe that you're right. Just MSU kind of looks a little bit better. They look more balanced. You've seen them kind of do a little bit of everything. And with Michigan, there hasn't been that balance there. And I think that's why there's the big question mark. But again, both fan bases are going into this weekend feeling unsure about their teams. Neither group thinks that their team has really played anybody to this point. So again, it's the first opportunity for each program against what many believe to be a legitimate opponent. And if you're on the side that comes up short, it's not, it's not going to be good.
So I say all that to say, on my story that I published this morning, make your pick, Michigan 24, Michigan State 20. That's what I have for a final. Yours was similar to that, I believe. All of ours were. We had Josh's and Jacob's on there too.
Yeah.
2 daily students, current students at Michigan, also picked Michigan, but in a close one. What was your final score? The final score you came to?
My final score is based on my heart, based on emotion, based on belief that it's got to be done. I've got Michigan 21-17.
21-17. So not quite covering your number, right? I thought you said you were. Oh no, you did say you were under 38.
Yeah, under. That's right at 38. Right.
So, man, dude, I keep seeing. I think it was Aaron. In the comments talking about, they don't play on paper and that Michigan State is soft. They haven't played anybody like. Dude, I got news. Michigan hasn't played anybody that good either.
But can we not do that? Can we not look at Michigan State and just say they're trash? They're that's a good football team. They're a good football team. There's only a handful of teams that are undefeated. And yes, they didn't play anybody, but they've played everybody on their schedule. And guess what? They've beaten everybody on their schedule. And not everybody in college football can say that, but both teams in the state of Michigan can. So if you're going into Saturday thinking that Michigan State is trash, I don't see that. And I've watched them a lot this year.
And if you're going to say something as strong as Michigan State is trash, then what do you call Michigan? I mean, honestly, I'm being completely honest. In what way is Michigan head and shoulders better than Michigan State? Or are they better than them even at all? I mean, I would ask that question. I think if you're saying Michigan State is trash, you're just saying that because you don't like them, which is fine. I don't like them either. You can say that all you want, but I think when you look at what the two teams have and what they're made up of, I don't know, man. I don't know if I see it that way. I mean, I think Michigan's got an advantage here or there. I think Michigan State's got a couple advantages here and there, and I think the advantages that Michigan State has are a little more important. I do. I think having the better quarterback and being at home is big in a game like this. Michigan's got a better overall defense. That's also big. Michigan also takes care of the ball much better. That's big. I mean, there's some stuff, man. There's some stuff that you can look at in both directions. So, look, if you pick Michigan to win by 20 or more, I think that's very unlikely. But I've also said that I could see one team getting away from the other one a little bit here, and I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know. It all comes down to why I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait.
How great is this, man? And I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Last year sucked. Last year was just awful in this state for football, for college football in general. And then you come into this year and everybody's kind of unsure of what type of team they're going to have. The guys, the folks at Michigan State and here in Michigan. And then here we are, going into week 8 and undefeated, knocking on the doorstep of being a top 5 team. And whichever team comes out victorious on Saturday, you are knee deep in the playoff conversation now. You are a legit playoff contender. And the fact that Michigan is this close to being in that spot at this point in the season, nobody saw that coming. If you did see it coming, then, we know what that means, but most people didn't see this coming, and it's just such a treat. And I think what I'm trying to do is really just soak in all of this energy and electricity before the game actually gets here, because it's just been so fun to have things being back, not just back to normal, but better than normal. This has been great.
Well, let's get us out of here on this, man. We're right at about an hour. A minor thing, but it's something we've talked about here before. And when I look at you right now, I know you care about the fashion and how things look. Michigan State
for fashion.
In the all greens, green helmet, green logo, green jersey, green pants, dark shoes and socks. Apparently, Michigan is going to be wearing the maize pants on the road again for the first time in a while. Believe my homies over at the Wolverine unearthed that. So we'll be looking forward to see how that looks again. It's going to look almost foreign. What do you think of this uniform combination that we're about to see? Getting back on the old Maze pants train.
I love it. It's got a classic throwback feel to it. I know that a lot of people were like shitting on Michigan State's, alternate. I thought it looked good. I thought it looked cold. I like the, I'm not going to not admit it. I'm a fan of the Spartan logo. I think it looks it's a Spartan logo. I think those always look kind of cool. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can't hold a candle to the winged helmet, the maize and blue, the maize pants, the white top, the classic Jim Harbaugh, the skinny Block M hat, the big shoulder pads knocking people around. Michigan State is not Michigan.
They're not fat Michigan. Circle mesh.
That's right.
The mesh that you can put a pinky through. That's what I'm
right.
talking about. I'm excited, dude. I mean,
will you get me out of here with a Spartan dog? Will you get me out of here with a Spartan dog, please? Get the people lit.
Spartan dogs. About to headbang my damn headset right off here, dude. The next time we're talking, I mean, we might shoot a few text messages to each other, but the next time we're talking, Chris, we're going to be on the way to the Spartan Stadium. How do you feel about that?
I feel like a kid in a candy store, man. I can't ask for anything better.
Get your popcorn ready, bro.
I'm ready.
Get your popcorn ready. All right, everybody. Whew. Get yourself some sleep. Get up nice and early. Drink 8 beers. Get ready to watch this game at freaking noon, man. I'm excited, dude. I cannot wait to get there. I can't wait to get there. I mean, Chris, people think you really like this song. Like you have it on your playlist. Shout out to Flem and M. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.